But initially harmless, small lie quickly spiraled out of control. My girlfriend and I used to buy milk at the 7-Eleven across the street from our apartment, because for whatever reason their gallons of 1% were always $1 cheaper than the grocery store. Reza, the young Middle Eastern guy who managed the store, got to know us fairly well. We would always greet each other, and occasionally if he saw their stocks of 1% gallons running low, he would store one in the back for us because he knew we would always come in at like 2 p.m. every Sunday for milk. Really nice guy. The week before we took a vacation, the girlfriend was studying her butt off for her exam, so I did the grocery shopping alone. Because we were leaving midweek for our trip, I only bought a half gallon of milk. Of course Reza assumes the worst. He assumes that we've broken up. He asked where she was and I just kind of grumbled. I was ready to launch into explaining how her test was tomorrow and whatnot, but before I could he just launched into this whole big apology saying sorry and that he didn't realize and hoped I was managing well. He went on to say how he just got divorced and how he misses her every day. I just didn't have the heart to tell him that she was just busy today, and that we were leaving for the week, so I just went with it. I lied and told him how hard it's been being alone after so long and told him we'd get through it together. I didn't want my girlfriend to think I was an idiot, so I neglected to tell her when I got home. 2 weeks later, and coincidentally my girlfriend is busy working a weekend shift to make up for our week off. So, I go back in, grab a gallon of 1%, and quickly realize that looks bad. So I turned around, put the gallon back, and grabbed the half gallon. The whole time Reza is watching me, dejectedly. He starts telling me it gets better, hang in there, we can grab coffee if I want to talk. I wanted to politely decline, but he went on again about his divorce and started tearing up. Once again, I felt bad and we agreed to meet for coffee after his shift. Coffee sounds great actually, I told him. I could tell he needed someone to talk to. At this point I realized this lie was going to spiral out of control real fast. After his shift, I met him at the 7-Eleven and walked down the block to a small coffee shop on the corner. Order whatever you'd like, it's on me today, I offered. Reza thanked me and went up to the counter. He came back with a steaming cup of chai tea and I had a vanilla latte. We settled into the chairs by the window and I asked him, "So, how have you been holding up?" I asked gently, feeling like an absolute scumbag the entire time. Reza sighed, wrapping his hands around his mug. "Some days are tough," he admitted. "I never saw the divorce coming. After 10 years together, she just suddenly decided we had irreconcilable differences." He shook his head. "I'm still trying to process it all. The nights alone are the hardest." I listened intently as Reza talked more about his relationship struggles and the pain of the divorce. I offered empathy and encouragement where I could and nodded in agreement as if I could relate. He started to ask me to talk about my girlfriend and I just looked down at my feet. I told him I couldn't bring myself to talk about it yet as the wounds were still fresh, but was willing to keep hearing him out. He seemed grateful to have someone to confide in over the next hour. As we got up to leave, he clasped my shoulder warmly. "Thank you for this. I appreciate you taking the time to listen." I told him sincerely that I was always here if he needed to talk more. We parted ways outside the cafe, both of us feeling a little less alone. Then I went home to my girlfriend. When she asked why I didn't get a full gallon, I think I told her that they were out of gallons and Reza didn't save us one this week. In the ensuing weeks, I proceeded to make all efforts to buy milk when my girlfriend wasn't around. She still didn't know. However, I decided to start working out, so I was able to justify to Reza the purchase of a gallon of 1%. We would normally chat for a few minutes and we would ask each other how things were. We would both give vague answers and wish each other well and be on our way. Eventually, one day my girlfriend went to 7-Eleven on her own when I wasn't around. I guess Reza helped her, made small talk, but was definitely weird towards her. She texted me about it and at this point I knew the gig jig was up and I had to come clean. When I got home I explained everything to her. She laughs, calls me an idiot, but at the same time thought it was cute for me to keep up the facade and commiserate with Reza, who was clearly dealing with some of his own issues. She decided that we needed to stage a reunion. So the following Sunday, we waltzed in, arm in arm, looking cheery. We could feel his eyes following us around the room. I made eye contact with him once or twice. I could tell he was trying desperately and failing to hold back the biggest knowing grin I've ever seen. Finally we go to check out and he starts wringing his hands and finally bursts out about he was rooting for us and how happy he was that we worked it out. The look of excitement and happiness on Reza's face was probably one of the most uplifting moments I've ever had. He told us repeatedly how we give him hope and how not the whole world is evil. "Glad we could help you, Reza. Sorry I lied about the milk."